Moin Moin and welcome to Ralfs Foto-Bude. In the last weeks I showed you some of the Nikon DSLR, the Profi models like the D600, D610, DF and a little bit back in time the D7100. Today I want to show you the new model for the amateurs. That's the D5300. It's a DSLR with a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, and it's quite smaller than the professional models. The body is not so high and not so wide, and it's not so heavy. One thing you will recognize first when you see the D5300, that's the monitor, because the professional cameras have a fixed monitor, and the monitor of the 5300 is a turnable monitor, but it's not a touch screen. It's still a usual monitor, not a touchscreen like the Canon 70D or 700D has. So I would like to have this one with a touchscreen, because I like touchscreen for touch focusing, and if you have a good menu structure, it's very easy to change the different menu points with a touchscreen. But unfortunately, there is no touchscreen. Next difference to the professional cameras, you don't have so many buttons and dials. You know, if you look on the side of the camera, usually you have the dial or the lever to change between autofocus and manual focus. That's one thing you don't have. And if you look on the back side of the camera, at this side you have usually 4 or 5 buttons for direct access to white balance, ISO, focus settings and stuff like this. That's missing too. And if you look on the top of the camera, you will recognize usually we have the program dial on this side, and here we have a display for the most important functions of the camera. On the D5300 we have the dial on this side, there's no display on top. We have the button for the video start, we have the info button, and we have the correction button for the exposure correction on off. And on the professionals we have a dial on the front of the camera. Here we have only a dial at the back side of the camera. Here it is, here you have the dial. How to work with the camera? You just press the. Usually you can work with a menu, but it's easier if you press the info button here. And if you press the info button, you will see the most important things, the camera settings on the screen. I like this one very much because they have nice symbols for everything. You have the shutter speed, aperture, and the ISO setting, and so you have on the first look you will see the most important settings of the camera. So that's real nice. If you want to change something, just press the info button. This is the one here on top. And if you press the info button, you will see it's highlighted in yellow, so you can go from one point to another. If you want to change the ISO setting, just go on the ISO setting, press the OK button, and here we are in the ISO setting. By the way, ISO goes from ISO 100 up to 12,800, and then to the high setting, high 24,600. That's the highest ISO value you have on the 5300. Just press OK and that's it. So if you want to change the white balance, go here and you can change the white balance. Just go to the point you want to go to auto and you're auto white balance. Active delighting, HDR, high dynamic range, auto bracketing, image size. You can change between the different image sizes here. Let's see this one. And then press OK. It's a little bit confusing. No, it's okay. And then you can go to the image quality, and then we go to the picture control. Picture control is standard, neutral, vivid, monochrome, portrait and landscape. So that's it. Here we have the different focus mode, from autofocus automatic, where the camera changes automatically between single and continuous autofocus, and here we have the different modes: single, continuous and manual focus. So that's one thing, you have to go to the menu or you have to go to the info area of the screen to change it. In the professional cameras you have the switch here on the side where you can change very fast between manual focus and the different autofocus settings. So that's one difference of the professional and the amateur cameras. Here we have the AF area mode. So we have the single point autofocus, 9 area, 20 area, 39 area automatic, and the 3D tracking mode and the auto area autofocus. So these are almost the same autofocus settings than you have in the pro cameras. Then we go to the metering. You have matrix, center weighted and spot metering, flash and the flash compensation and exposure compensation. But for exposure compensation, as I said before, you have the button here on top. Just press it and you're in the setting, and then turn the dial and you will see you have the exposure correction. You have one function button, that's the one here on the side. FN, that's the function button. I have the ISO setting on the function button, so when I press the function button you see ISO is highlighted, and just I turn the dial and so I change the ISO setting. You see the icons are real nice, because you see if the value of the aperture goes higher, it's close. So the aperture will close more and more. So I like the icons and the optic here of how they show it on the display. It's very useful and it's a good help for photographers who are not so good in the different settings of the camera. Here, if you look for the shutter speed, it goes from 30 seconds up to 1 of 4,000 seconds, and you have bulb function too. And you see that's very nice. If you change the light in front of the camera, you see how the camera changes the different setting, and you see how the three most important settings work together. So for an amateur, it's very nice to find out how the camera works. On the back side of the camera we have the info button. I showed you before. When you press the info button, you're just here in the different settings. You have the menu button here. We go later on to the menu. The AEL and AFL auto exposure lock, auto focus lock. We have the dial, replay, four-way button. It's not a dial. It looks a little bit like a dial, but no, it's just a four-way button, OK button, magnify plus and minus, and the trash button, and what I said before, the turnable screen. Here on the side we have the SD card slot. And compared to the professional models, we have only one SD card slot. The professional has two SD card slots, so there you can save RAW and JPEG on two different cards. Going to the side of the camera, and open here this part. On the side we have the microphone in, we have the USB and the remote control, and we have HDMI, so you can show your videos or your pictures directly on a flat screen, which you connect via a HDMI cable. Yeah, let's go have a quick view to the different program modes. We have PASM, that's the program mode, shutter, exposure and manual. Then we have effects, and it's very easy to change the effects, because just turn the dial here and you will see you have the different effects. Start with night vision, color sketch, toy camera effect, miniature effect, selective color, silhouette, high key, low key, and HDR painting. And if the monitor is not on, so I have to wait a little bit to turn the monitor off. Now it's off. When you turn the dial now, nothing happens. So you have to press the info button on top, the monitor highlights, and then just turn the dial, and you can change the different settings of the effects. Next point, the program mode, close-up. Then we have sports. Next one is child. Then we have landscape, too fast, landscape, and the last one is portrait. And again, then we have the scene mode, and you see they show the dial here too, so that's also a real nice feature. They show the dial and they show the different settings. And again, just turn the back dial here and you have the different settings from candlelight, blossom, autumn color, food, sorry, a little bit too fast, night portrait, night landscape, party, indoor, beach, sunset, dusk, dawn, and again pet portrait. So that's very easy to change the different settings. And again, if the monitor is turned off like this, just press the info button on top of the camera, and then you're just in the menu and you can turn the dial. So that's very easy. I like this one very much because it's not complicated to change. On some other cameras you have to go into the menu or you have to press a special button or something like that. So for me it was really confusing, and the Nikon, I like this very much because it's easy to change and it's a real nice way to change the different settings. And again, you have the auto mode where the camera does everything by herself, so you don't have to take care about anything. So that's very easy. I like this one very much. Okay, so let's go to the menu. So just before, we have the live mode for sure. Here is the button for the live mode. Usually you have a button to press. Here is a little lever on the program dial. Just move it in front of towards you and you're in the live mode. And again, if you press the I button here, you're in the different settings, so you can make the settings also if you're in the live view mode. Just press I again and you're away. You see you have the focus field here, that's the focus field, and you can move the focus field just by pressing the four-way button, and the focus field moves up, down, so you can change the point where the focus field is. And again, just press the I button and you can change the size of the focus field. Just go here to this point, AF area mode, and you're at the different settings. Press OK and you can go from face priority to wide area, normal area, and subject tracking. So if you're in the face priority, it should work. If I hold the camera correct, and you see here we are, here we are, the camera find my face, so that's the face detection. Here we are on my face, so that's very nice, the face detection mode. Go back from the live view mode and go into the menu. Just press the menu button here and we are in the menu mode. If you know the other menus from Nikon, this one is exactly the same. It's a little bit shorter because there are not so many points to set on this camera, because an amateur it's overloaded. If you know the 7100 or D610 for an amateur, it's just overloaded. So it's good that the menu is a little bit smaller and not so many points in the menu to set. I like this very much because it's downsized to the most important things. You have everything you need, but not more. It's not overdone. You have the image quality, JPEG and RAW, and the combination of both JPEG and RAW. You have the image size from 24 megapixel, 30 and small, so the different settings of the size. Then you have the NEF raw recording, 12-bit or 14-bit, white balance. The white balance goes from auto to preset manual, where you can calibrate on a white sheet of paper. There's no direct Kelvin setting. There's no direct Kelvin setting. You can't do the Kelvin setting directly in the white balance. Picture control, again, it's a little bit confusing. You have the different picture control settings, but there's no arrow on the side so that you know there are more settings. You only have the sign here, adjust, and if you look to the adjust, you will see that there is a small arrow. So if you press the adjust, you go to the different settings for sharpening, contrast, brightness, saturation and hue. If you go to monochrome, that's what I like very much, is you have the contrast, brightness and also the filter effects. So that's really nice. You have yellow, orange, red and green. Yellow, orange and red is for landscape photography, blue sky and white clouds. They come really good with yellow, orange or red. It depends a little bit on the color, on the surrounding, but yellow, orange and red are usually for landscape, and green is for taking portraits, because if you use the green filter effect in a monochrome, the skin gets a real perfect tone in black and white, so it's not too dark or too light. The green filter gives the skin in the black and white picture and the monochrome picture the perfect setting. So that's what you should use if you make portraits. Please use the green filter effect on monochrome. And the last point is toning. Here we have the sepia, cyan, yellow and so on, and we have the different grades from 1 to, I think the highest one is 7, yes, 7, up to 7. So that's really nice, because that's unusual that these pro features are also on amateur cameras. I like this very much, so that Nikon also put this feature in the 5300. Okay, next one is manage picture control, where you can make different settings: auto distortion, color space, sRGB or Adobe RGB, active delighting, high dynamic range, long exposure noise reduction, high ISO noise reduction, ISO sensitivity settings. Here you have the setting, the direct setting of the ISO sensitivity, or you can do the auto ISO sensitivity control, where you set the maximum sensitivity and the maximum shutter speed, both, so you can adjust the auto ISO very exactly. Release mode is single frame, continuous low high, quiet shutter release, self timer, and the delay remote control settings. The quiet shutter, I showed it in my German video. The difference between the sound is not as big as I expected, or as you expect. So if you make a shoot with a normal shutter, it's like this. And now go to the quiet mode. I don't think the difference is real big. There is a difference, but in my opinion that's not a real big difference between the quiet mode and the single mode. One thing you heard, that the autofocus beep is off if you go to the quiet mode. So let's go back to the menu. We have the release mode, the different multiple exposure, interval timer, shooting, movie settings. One important thing in the movie settings, we have full HD with 50p, but if you go to the NTSC mode, so that's the PAL mode, the European mode, then you have 50p. If you go to NTSC, I can show you later, we have the 60p mode, and so you should change to the NTSC. And you have the small HD mode 1280 by 720, although it's 50p or 60p in the NTSC mode. I will go later on the point where we change from PAL to NTSC and then come back to the video setting. Then we have movie quality, high or normal, microphone, and then the wind noise reduction, and that's it. Next point is the custom settings. Usually the custom setting menu is very long, but at the 5300 it's a little bit shorter, so I think also amateur will deal with this one, so it's not too long and not too complicated. We have the AF priority selection, one very important point, because here you can set up if you want the priority on release or on focus. If you have the one on focus, the camera releases the shutter only if the focus is perfect. If you are on release, the camera releases the shutter also if the focus is not absolutely perfect. It depends on the scene you're shooting. If you shoot your dog running or stuff like that, I think it's better to go on release, because you get a picture even if it's not perfect sharp, and if you're on focus, maybe the camera doesn't make any picture at all. So I would prefer to go to release, because it's better to get pictures than to wait and to wait and to wait. So in my opinion, use the release. You have the number of autofocus point, 39, sorry, or 11 autofocus point, then the built-in autofocus assist illuminator, rangefinder, the steps for exposure control, third or full step, shutter release button, auto off time, self timer. Here we have the different settings for the self timer, 2, 5, 10 or 20 seconds. The number of shots. That's a real nice feature. All the other cameras from Nikon has too. You can go to the self timer and set it on 10 seconds, make 5 pictures. So if you make a group photo where you're self on and you don't have a remote control for the camera, you set it on 5 pictures, the camera makes the first, then you can set up again, next. So the chance you get a real good picture of the whole group, a smiling picture, everybody looks in the camera, is much higher. If you go like 5, 6 or 7, you can go up to 9 shots if you're at the self timer. Then you have the remote duration, the beep, viewfinder grid display, where you can show the grid, ISO display, file number, sequence. These are all the different settings for the display, flash control for the built-in flash, auto bracketing, the FN button, which I said before. Here is the FN button, so you can set the function of the FN button from image quality, ISO sensitivity, white balance, HDR, NEF, auto bracketing, AF area, viewfinder, grid display, Wi-Fi, and I go to the ISO sensitivity because that's for me most important. Then you can set up the AFLAEL button here, dial rotation, and that's it. So it's not so confusing because there are not so many points like at the D610, D600 or the D7100 where you find a lot of points. Next one is the setup menu, and in the setup menu you have the usual things, but one thing is very important because you have the location data. Yes, the D5300 has a built-in GPS module and also a built-in Wi-Fi module. You see here we have the GPS sign and we have the Wi-Fi sign. So you can start the GPS recording, so you get a log list, you get the GPS data to your camera, to your pictures. So that's a real nice feature. You don't have to use an external GPS logger. The camera has a built GPS module inside. So that's a real nice feature. And the next one we have here is the video mode. I show you this one last. First we have HDMI, remote control, and here we have the next point which I said, we have the Wi-Fi settings, so you can set up the network connection and you can transfer pictures to the camera. Actually, I have the 5300 only like a day, so I didn't try what else you can do with the Wi-Fi connection. I don't know if you can make a remote control with a Wi-Fi connection. You can sure transfer pictures to a smartphone or a tablet PC, that's for sure. But actually, I don't know if you can make a remote control via the smartphone. That's what I check, and I will show you on my next video. So let's go to the video mode, and if you set the NTSC, you will see frame size and so on will change, and that's what we want to look here, movie settings. And again, if you go to the frame size, frame rate, you will see here we are 60p, so use the NTSC mode. Okay, next and last point is the you have the replay, the different replay settings, and in the replay setting you have here the select to send to smartphone. That's what I said before. And the last point is the retouch menu, where you can make different retouches in the camera with your pictures. Sorry. Yeah, so these are the most important features of the D5300. It's a real small camera, it's lightweight, it has the most important functions, it's fast. Picture quality I will see in the next days. I make the test and you will see the pictures on Flickr. But I think the 24 megapixel sensors give you a real good image quality of the D5300. So every important thing is in the camera. I don't miss any function of the big cameras except the direct access via buttons for the most important functions. That's one thing I miss. But the camera is smaller, you don't have so much space for the buttons. And one important and real nice thing, you have the turnable screen. I like this one very much. Would be better if it's a touch screen, but it's not. So that's one point I think Nikon should do on the next model. But for this one, it's absolutely perfect. You have the built-in flash for sure. That's I didn't show you. We have the built-in flash. Yeah, and that's it. These are the most important features of the Nikon. Hope you enjoyed my, it's not a review by my, hope you enjoyed it. Come back on my YouTube channel because there may some more cameras just before Christmas. I hope I get 2 more cameras before Christmas to show you two very nice and interesting cameras. And for the 5300 I may make another movie or video where I show some more special functions and a little bit more in depth. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching me. Have a nice day. Take some nice pictures. Until now I say moin moin.